like 8 years I did not see my dad. And I always wondered, who is my dad? Where is my dad? I kept pressuring my mama, where is my daddy? Who is my dad? Because every time I got mad with her, I knew there had to be another parent, and I was looking for a way of escape to get away from her because I wanted to get somewhere else. So where's my dad? So my mom, she went ahead and did what she, felt was right to do because I was pressuring, and she located him, found my aunt, which lives over in Enterprise, and she made the connection to my grandmother, and my grandmother connected us to my dad. And so that's how our relationship began to come back into place. Our relationship that was around 10 or 11 years old. I'm 46 now. So our relationship has been in that much time, but there hasn't always been just a lock in during those times of those years. It hasn't always been I talk to you every day. It hasn't always been I hear I love you every day. It hasn't been any of that now. You know what I'm saying? During that time. So I have a story, but listen, let me tell you something. I stopped looking at them and started looking at him, because if I had looked at them and what they had going on, they couldn't even stay together. Then it would have caused me to literally stay broken. It would literally cause me to always struggle with the fact of what's wrong with me. Why did I come from a place of brokenness? And you got to understand and know this, that when you come from brokenness, then usually you are broken. Y'all, did you hear what I said to you? When you come from brokenness, then usually you are broken. And now I need to say this for my people that are married, and yeah, you got kids with your husband. That still don't mean your kids ain't broken if you and that man ain't getting along in there. Because some people just stay together. They really ain't together. So I got a word for you too. Yeah, your kids can be broken as well. Why? Because they feel what's going on with y'all. They feel the fact that y'all really don't get along. They feel the fact that your backs are turned at night. And they feel the fact that you're battling over bills and over money. They feel every bit of that. So just because you got two of them in there together, don't look at them ones that have broken homes and think that, well, I thank God we ain't broken. Yes, y'all are. Yes, you are. You're broken. You're broken. You're broken. You're broken. You're broken, and you're not only broken, but you're breaking. Did you hear what I said to you? I should have got some water tonight. Listen, did you hear what I said to you? Not only are you broken, but you're breaking. What am I breaking, Pastor Lee, them children? And that's what you're doing. Breaking them children, you breaking them kids. You breaking them kids, that's what you're doing. You breaking them kids, that's what you're doing. Oh, y'all, I done told y'all I'm winning in life. Y'all better be ready. That's all I'm going to tell you now. God, hey, listen, here, you don't want the truth, you might better just go on and get out of here and slide on somewhere else. Well, I'm telling you, look, just because they got a mama and a daddy don't mean that they're not broken. And you ain't in that living hole like you need to be. Woo! Yes, you are breaking because they feel the atmosphere. Do you hear me? They feel the atmosphere. They know what's going on. They're not stupid. So they feel the atmosphere and the environment of what is going on. But I'm trying to tell y'all, in spite of everything that's going on, and that's why your walk with God, your life with God has to be an individual thing that you do. And the reason it has to be an individual thing that you do is because they sing the song, if my mama don't go, then I'll go. If my daddy don't go, I'll go, because baby, sometime your mama might not go. Baby, sometime your daddy might not go. You hear what I'm saying? But you got to go. You got to move on. It's an individual thing. You can't allow the brokenness of other people to keep you broken. Where does the cycle end? Where does it stop? You can't allow the fact of what they did to stop you from seeing him for what he wants to do. He's a mender of broken hearts. How do you know, Pastor Lee? He had them in mind. That's how I know. He's a mind regulator. How do you know that, Pastor Lee? He had to regulate mine. That's how I know. That's how I know. Yes, God. He's a deliverer. How do you know that, Pastor Lee? He had delivered me. That's how I know. That's how I know. That's how I know. He's a friend. How do you know? That man done had to be a friend to me. Even at times when I betrayed him, he yet remained a friend. That's why I'm understanding what it means to be a friend for real. And I literally adjust myself to walk through what it is to be a friend for real. I got people that ain't no longer my friends, but I'm still theirs. I can bet you that. You hear what I just said? Put that one down in the book. I got people that no longer say they are my friend, but I'm still theirs. Know why? Because I ain't finna change because of them. I'm not finna shift because of them. I'm not finna move from what's done been deposited into me because of them. You might go, but I ain't going. I ain't going. I ain't going. Ephesians chapter 5. You might leave, but I ain't going. I ain't going. I'm staying here till I win. I'm staying here till I win. Winning in life. Subtopic again for you. You do have a purpose of why you are here. That's what I'm going to show you tonight. You do have a purpose of why you are here. I'm winning. Ephesians chapter 5, let's get it. Let's go to verse 14. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. Make sure you're there. Ephesians 5, verse 14. I should have had some cold water, Jesus. I whooped myself tonight, Lord. I'm sorry. Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 14. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. And it says this here. Wherefore he said, awake thou that sleepest, and arise from the dead, and Christ shall give thee light. Check out what he says. Ephesians chapter 5, verse 14. Wherefore he says, awake thou that sleepest. Sleepest. Now, let me tell you what sleeping is. Sleep is to be unconscious or to be thoughtlessness. To be unconscious or to be thoughtlessness, which means without thought. When you are sleeping, you are without thought. So he says, let's go, since we know the definition, let's get it. Wherefore he says, awake thou that is thoughtless. Awake thou that is thoughtless. And arise from the dead. Now, what dead represents there, what that means is not dead in the way that you think, but what it means is to be unaware of God. To be unaware of God. So now let's get it. Now that we got those two definitions, let me show you. Let's read it again. Wherefore he says, awake thou that is thoughtlessness. That is thoughtless. And arise from being unaware of God. Do you see it? Let's get it again. Ephesians 5 and 14. Wherefore he says, awake thou that is thoughtless. Don't have any, you're not thinking. You're not thinking. You're making a lot of decisions, but you're not thinking. He says, oh, awake thou that sleepest. You're doing a lot of stuff, but you're not thinking before you do it. Why? Because you're thoughtless. You're thoughtless. And arise, he says, from the dead, which means to be unaware of God. So in any area that I am thoughtless in that area, I am unaware of God. I am unaware, which means God is not a part of that thing. I am unaware of God. It says, and Christ, now here comes God, and Christ shall give thee light. So this is what has to happen. I have to first, if I'm going to win in life, I told y'all, I'm going to drop this like it's cold. If I'm going to win in life, I've got to, one, I've got to awake out of my thoughtlessness. How do I awake out of my thoughtlessness? I've got to first admit that I'm thoughtless. A lot of people don't like to admit that they're thoughtless, even though their life shows that they're thoughtless. But they still won't verbally admit that they're thoughtless. They're constantly making all kinds of wrong decisions, steady doing stuff, steady getting in trouble, steady going through all kinds of heartbreak. Things are not going well for them. But if you tell them that they're making the wrong decisions, they're getting mad at you because they don't want to admit that they're operating in thoughtlessness. So the first thing that has to happen is that you have to awake. You have to awake out of the thoughtlessness. So when it means awake, that means that you've got to become alert. You've got to realize where you are. You've got to say to yourself what I said to myself when I was in Geneva on a Saturday morning, I think it was. There was a women's meeting going on at Pastor Janet German's church when her and her husband used to live in Geneva and they pastored there. The church name was Times of Refreshing across the bridge, and I was there for a ladies' meeting, and there was a room full of ladies in there. I was sitting on the front row over on the left-hand corner, and I was sitting there, and I was going through all kinds of hell in my life. But there was a part inside of me that knew life was going to have to get better for me. There was a fight on the inside of me that was saying this ain't going to stay like this. All of a sudden, I started saying it real low at first. I ain't got to live like this. I ain't got to live like this. The girl beside me, the ladies on each side of me, they heard me. They started looking at me. I said, I ain't got to live like this. I ain't got to live like this. I started getting louder with it. I ain't got to live like this. I ain't got to live like this. It kept getting louder. I ain't got to live like this. I ain't got to live like this. I ain't got to live like this. And it started getting louder. And at the time I got louder, part of something inside of me was saying, hush, girl, you're disrupting the service. Hush. But it wouldn't quit. I kept saying it. I ain't got to live like this. And when I said it, though, it was the Pastor Janet, she caught it at the time when I said it, and she started began to flow in what it was that I was saying, and the power of God hit the house, and those ladies, all of us were in their bed, literally breaking free from shackles and everything that was holding us, because one person made a decision to say, I ain't got to live like this. Baby, you better hear what I'm saying to you. And I made a determination, and you see my life. I ain't living like that no more. Baby, I am not in that place anymore. I ain't got to live like this. You got to tell yourself, I ain't got to live like this. Matter of fact, I ain't gonna live like this. Something is going to have to change. Something has got to turn. Why? Because I'm no longer looking at you nor you for the issues that I have, but I'm looking to him, which can help me to settle all the issues y'all brought about. Your family brought about this attitude I keep all the time. That's from my mama's side. Your side of the family brought about this alcoholism I'm doing all the time. But see, I'm finna stop looking at these issues. My mama's side of the family brought about the tricks I play with men. You know, see what I'm saying? So you gotta look at that stuff and say, I'm no longer looking at you anymore, but I'm looking at him now, which is the answer. I ain't got to shuck and jive. I ain't got to have a sugar daddy because all my aunties and stuff had sugar daddies. I ain't got to do that. Why? Because I ain't got to live like this. If I got some people with me now that feel like I ain't got to live like this, then you ought to be saying it. I ain't got to live like this. No, I don't. It says, arise from the dead. Get up from that place of being unaware of God. Okay, Pastor Lee, how do I come out of the place of being unaware of God? I'm so glad y'all asked. Y'all are the best class. I love it. Y'all are such a good class. I love how you ask questions. I'm going to tell you how